success rate is fairly low. And with this note, I'll start off with the discussion. And what I will look into is, obviously we will get in the depth of it, is that what are we doing here in Bangladesh? Are we actually just sitting idle, taking a backseat, or are we actually doing certain things? The example that was placed with regard to Activity Loan, Akmutogur, and of course half a kg bunny is something that evolved there, not elsewhere in the world. So there are a large number of other innovations which are taking place. I'm glad to also see that we have representatives from A2I as well, who will be, of course, I understand that they will be having the next session, and you will come to know of quite a few innovations that are taking place in that area. I'll request all of my panelists to, and since we are talking, whenever we talk in terms of innovation, it apparently seems that we're either talking about the physical science or the biological science, and not beyond that. Unfortunately, there is another thing in innovation, which is also called process innovation. So I would also request you to concentrate on process innovation and don't forget that particular part. You've worn the public hat as well as the private hat. What do you think has been the role of universities in Bangladesh?
Well, I mean, so far education is concerned, we can see the primary role so far has been teaching. There are elements of research. I would say when I joined BUET, that was in 1980, research was virtually absent. I mean, later it started developing, and the researches were done mainly for the professors to enlarge their, the list of their publications. In many of the cases, those researchers had no relationship with the mindset, because in many of the cases, we have seen that in earlier times, many of these industries did not even realize that a local research or local sort of partnership with the universities could lead to innovations, or could at least solve the problems they cannot solve right now. So I can see that there is a change in mindset, and even in a private university like United International University, we had been doing a lot of consulting work, and at the same time I would say research in a sense. These are innovative in the local context, that many of the things are being done adaptable to the local societies and local technologies and things like that. So I believe, there are scopes, but both the parties should come, both the industries to come up with their needs and let the universities know what can be done. At the same time, universities should also come up. Just forget about making the list of publications very long with international publications. Try to do something for the country. If that psychology doesn't work, in many of the cases, the talk that we are having now, you may have innovations, but may have no application inside the country.
Thank you, Professor Rezwan. I mean, this is something which is very common in the academia. Either you publish or you perish. So that is that we have to go about, and we have to accept that particular fact. But at the same time, we also must remember the contribution of BUET globally is not probably recorded the way it should have been. And if we really go and find out across the world the contribution that has been made by professors or researchers from BUET, it is unbelievably substantive. So this is something that we should also bear in mind. Professor Zeba is someone who has been involved with research, not that research in terms of publish or perish, but also application. So Zeba, could you kindly come up and tell us what you have been doing in the Department of Biochemistry and Biotechnology and how it is linked to the industry?
Thank you, Dr. Ferhat. I work on saline-tolerant rice, trying to produce saline-tolerant rice for the coastal region. So it's a very complicated process. So we use, without going into jargon, we use like DNA markers. That's one type of technology which is closer to traditional ones. And then we have another which is genetic transformation. So the marker-assisted products are actually being tested by ACI in Potwakali currently. Biri also has a set of these materials, but the process in Biri, that's Bangladesh Rice Research Institute, it takes a long time. So we started collaborating with ACI. So the biosecurity about these marker-assisted products are not that much, so it was very easy for us to approach ACI and give them the seeds, so they're being tested now. The other part, so genetic transformation actually gives a higher level of tolerance because you can manipulate it further. You can have more manipulated processes into it, so you can combine certain things and produce a higher level of tolerance. But for that, the biosecurity is a big process, and we have some lines which are salt tolerant, but we are looking into the biosecurity issues. We don't have enough space in Dhaka University. We don't have a greenhouse. I just have a net house. So what we do is we don't allow the pollen of the rice to, because we don't have any rice fields. So it's actually pretty safe when I do it in the university. But I need a larger space. So again, we are, ACI has agreed to test some of these materials, but I have to apply to the Ministry of Agriculture to get biosecurity clearance.
So you are actually doing quite a lot of things. In fact, may I also add here that the jute genome sequencing that was done, that was initiated, that was done around 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And there too the biochemistry department was involved. Zeba was part of that particular team as well. So they have been doing quite a few things over the years. Now since we do have Saifullah from ACI, Saifullah, how did you tag in with the university? Could you tell us this?
So basically it came from the hunger of ACI for actually capturing the market position. From there into the need for innovation that came into our mind. And after that, what we did is we developed an innovation center. We call it Advanced Seed Research and Biotech Center. And we formed this center, and after this we took one university professor, Professor Dr. Mohammad is a very renowned professor in biotechnology. So he is also helping us, and through this innovation center, actually what we are doing is we are tagging with different universities and different crops. For example, in rice we have linked with Dhaka University and Bangladesh Agriculture University. We also have linked with international universities like Lund University, Gothenburg University, Sweden, Cornell University, USA, and this kind of different kind of tagging, basically giving us an extra access to the competence of the universities. For example, the industry, they are more competent on commercialization. And the thing when the innovation or the knowledge comes, basically it's the university where they are more competent than us. So it's not a problem for us to outsource this competency from ACI. So what we are doing is we are tagging this kind of project with the universities, and we are taking benefit out of it. That's what we're doing.
Thank you so much. You see, so one thing is quite clear, that without these two coming together, things are not going to go forward, which of course Rezwan at the very beginning stated that. And we can see that the two are working together. But we do have ACI being our local partners, and the local partners are taking quite a lot of initiative. At least one of the examples that we see is ACI, and I can come up with many others. But we do also have a representative from a multinational, Arshad. Arshad, well, I know internationally you guys do quite a few things. You do collaborate with various universities. But are you doing anything with Bangladesh? Within the Bangladesh sort of university framework?
What we are doing is basically we are working with the Dhaka University Pharmacy Department. We are giving them some support in terms of providing them material to develop some novel formulations. We are giving them excipients because you know that BASF is a company which is world leader in the production of excipients and actives. And new excipients are coming about daily, almost every year it's coming in the world arena. And the Dhaka University Pharmacy School, they seek our assistance, and here we are collaborating with them in a very small scale to give them support as to how newer dosage forms can be developed with these newer excipients. So it's a very small thing, but still we are doing something. And we are also taking part in the continuing education of the pharmacy graduates. We talk about how newer packaging materials which BASF is developing can add to the long-term benefit of the formulations, because there are a lot of different types of packaging materials, starting from very cheap ones to very expensive ones. But what Bangladesh requires is something which is affordable for the common man. So those type of packaging materials using BASF plastics, how those can solve the problems of the Bangladeshi medicines is also been in terms of educating the students as well as other the industry, the farm industry as such. We are doing that. We are doing that on a regular basis, but not too frequently. So these are the two areas where we are collaborating.
Thank you, Arshad. So we are looking at the multinational perspective, the local perspective, and of course the academia. Now, one thing is very important for us, all of us, to understand. At the beginning, one of our speakers had very clearly stated that the major problem that Bangladesh now faces is scarcity of land. But if you talk in terms of the potential, we have you guys in front, and that is a huge potential. The 65% youth, and this is what we term as the human capital. And keeping that particular human capital in mind, there are a large number of initiatives that have been taking place. One of the initiatives, which I will again start off with Zeba, which you are actually planning to undertake, is based on bioinformatics teaching. And are you looking at it from what, the application side of it, or it's purely sort of imparting knowledge? What is the thought? What went inside your group to take up that particular initiative? Zeba, please.
So bioinformatics, it's a combination of biological science and computer science. So if I just explain a little bit, so there are 3 billion letters or 6 billion letters in the human genome, because we have a set from the mother and a set from the father. So 3 billion, and in order to make sense, I mean, just imagine these 3 billion letters are making a whole human being. They're also making each of us different. So the enormous information that is contained is this 3 billion letters. It's not possible, humanistically possible, to deal with it manually. So computation is a big part. So, but the thing is, in the curriculum, particularly in Dhaka University, they're not really. So bioinformatics is a very application-oriented subject. I mean, it's also theoretical. So you can do structural biology with it, but structural biology has its applications as well. So it's an incredibly application-oriented subject, and it also helps us in our research problems. So it has kind of multitude of applications. So from that perspective, we decided, because the curriculum that we have, it's very basic, and it's given at the master's level. So and students, or the young students, they have because they're better at computers, much better than we are. So, and they have a tendency to pick up the knowledge in bioinformatics and go a great deal further just by sitting for a great deal of hours at the computer. So that's what we thought, that if we introduce them to this bioinformatics, what it is, it's a whole world beyond. And it's actually said that the more hours you spend behind the computer, the more you get acquainted, or you can deal with the problems, both of the practical as well as theoretical. It can be any research problem or any commercial problem. Bioinformatics will, as long as there's biology behind it, bioinformatics will give you the answer. So that was the idea behind this, and we are kind of trying to establish a center, and we are trying to write up the courses. So it's going to be completely online. Hopefully, a lot of people can get in once it's established. So that's the idea.
So the idea is to actually tag into the future sort of talent, as well as to link with the industry in terms of identifying what their commercial problem is and trying to resolve that. So there is a sort of a two-end to it. And Dr. Rezwan, I'm also aware of the fact that you guys have also opened up a sort of, let's say, innovation center, if I may say so. Could you elaborate on that before I move on to questions from the audience? Could you kindly elaborate on that as well, your center that you opened up?
We have introduced a center for energy research, because you see, we have got our own knowledge, and we want to disseminate that. And for the last 2 years, we have been extremely successful, I would say, because being a small private university, I never thought that we can be that much successful. Now, so for the renewable energy is concerned, the solar PVs, the solar home system, I think if anybody coming from the rural areas, everybody know about the solar energies. People are using them. And we have been involved in designing and helping the local companies to come up with innovative designs and technologies, so that you can make the products at a much lower cost, and it can be much more tolerated in the Bangladeshi conditions, climatic and the environmental. Like even see the tiny things like the effect of ants and rodents, what sort of effect they can have on a specific circuitry and how it should be protected. Even these things are taken into consideration. What I mean here is that with this small Center for Energy Research, we have been very successful, and it shows that if you come up and give your efforts, Bangladesh is at a fertile land. There are many, I would say, opportunities, but one must try to tap that. From the industry point of view, I would say, they must have the mindset. Fund is a very important factor. In many cases, researches are expensive, but you can always make a dialogue so that there can be a compromise. And at least at the initial stage, we can, from the academia, we can do research at a much lower cost. But once the things are proven, I think at that stage, money is not really a problem. So, I think that's the most important.
Thank you, Dr. Rezwan. Before again I move into audience, one very specific question for the two representative heads from the business. Arshad, do you really think that the multinationals are ready to create endowment for such research in Bangladesh?
At this point, no. They are not ready, but the issues are being raised up in different forums, and once the pressure gets high, I think they'll be compelled to invest here and try to interact more with the university and create this forum.
What about the local private ones?
The private ones, to be very honest, the private ones are also not very interactive with the university. What is happening? This is happening in a very isolated way. The industry is, whatever research and development is that is taking place in the industry is with their own skilled staff. Basically, in one